Alright, what I thought I would do in this video as a follow-up to my previous video on Vision Basic, the first look, what I thought I'd do on this one is go ahead and port a few basic programs to Vision and see how difficult or how easy that is and how satisfying a process that can be. If you're not familiar with Vision Basic is a version of BASIC for the Commodore 64 that compiles into an executable rather than as being interpreted, which means it executes one instruction at a time. Vision is somewhere in between, I would say, between writing a program in assembly language directly and writing a program in BASIC in terms of the speed. What I thought I would do, I'm going to open up an older program that I have, which this program, what it did was it sort of had this array and then it created a viewport into the array like a 10 by 10, and then it allows you to press up, down, left, and right with the W, A, S, and D keys. And it is a slow program. Let's take a look at it. And you see this is a view into it. If I push up, it shifts everything one line at a time, slowly. But I'm sort of viewed into that string randomly. You kind of see this area here, or this area, yeah. And with Vision, it'd be interesting to see how much faster it can be. So I do have Vision loaded right here, and it's in Vice. I'm running in PAL mode, and let's see, I did create a snapshot. And with a snapshot, if Vision crashes or if I ever need to reset, I could reload the snapshot quickly and get it right back to that screen. And that's what my snapshot does. And with the other advantage of having Vision loaded in Vice is that I can copy and paste from my CBM Program Studio and paste in my entire program. We have some problems pasting it in a few lines. You saw some errors. And it doesn't like when you have things capitalized, when we have certain letters capitalized. So what I was going to do, I'm going to copy this and then add a new file, call it Zeph VB, paste that in. And I'm going to strip out the comments for now. It's already commented in the other one. And is there anything else that needs to be stripped? Get rid of these blank lines at the bottom. And let's try pasting that in once more. We'll do new. And we'll pay attention to the errors this time, if any. All right, so you would think, oh, right now we ought to just be able to press run and let it go. Well, that's a good way to test to see where the problems are. So it's saying error in line 1980. Now you'll notice in here, the problem is Vision doesn't like when you wrap things in parentheses. It doesn't handle that well, and also it executes from left to right. So essentially all we really have to do is remove these parentheses. But I think what we'll want to do is put the multiplication first. We'll go, because we want that to occur first. So we want dy times y plus, and then we'll take it out of this part. And then Vision shouldn't have a problem with that. And we'll go to the next error. Now here's an example where Vision doesn't like to do inline addition, so you have to pre-calculate some things in advance. So what we'll do is I'll create a variable, let's say h equals yy minus 1. Oops. and then put it for j equals 0 to h. Now vision, let's see if that'll execute. Okay, so it went past that error. Vision also has a method of doing subtraction, which is supposedly a little faster, a few cycles quicker. And what you can do, all you have to do to make that work is put the letters sub in front of here. Basically tell it you're doing a subtraction. All right, so let's move on to 2120. Okay, so on 2120, what we have to do some of these calculations in advance. We can say, we can set a variable, set of variables, make sure something's not being used. We'll f set plus I, and then I could switch this out to those two letters. But that's not good enough. That ASC in the mid, those have to be pre-calculated. So we'll probably need to put this up a line like 2023. And then on 2020, we got to get that, what's inside the parentheses, we got to get this out of there. So let's do that first. We'll set a variable equal to just that part of the string right there. And I was going to use x. Oops. X string equal to a string parentheses ny. Now we're gonna have to list them both out. So you can do list 2120 to 2122. Oh, 2123. Oh, did I not hit enter on that? Yeah, okay, good. The next thing you'll want to do, you just got to do them in succession. You set another string, I don't know, $XX equal. We'll do the outer part, mid string $X NX, 1. And then if we do the next line, 2122, let's set a variable m equal ASC $XX. You in Vision, you can't really combine all those lines. You have to do them separately. So first we get the inner string, then we do the mid string to grab that character. Then we grab the ASCII value of that, and then we could make that MM. So it does simplify your code if you do it this way. It does make for more lines though, and it's a little bit of a hassle. As we did with the subtraction, Vision also has a built-in way to do an addition that's supposed to be a little quicker. So I could leave this like this, or we could just add the characters, add. So we add those. It just kind of tells Vision a more efficient way of compiling. Okay, let's see if it runs now. Oh. Control and break. Control. It partially ran. And this brings me to where we should probably save our work. So we don't lose anything. And let's take a look at it. See if we can find anything obvious. Oh, I know one thing we need to do, and this might be the problem. instead of doing the print character stream 147, what we'll do, we'll get rid of this line 1390, and we'll go 10 CLR, which clears all variables, and then clear the screen. And let's see if that alone makes this work. There we go. Now let's try the keys. Wow. So straight away it's working, and it's much faster than the basic version. Now there are a few more, I hit Q to quit. There's a few more optimizations we could make to this if we really want to. Like these if statements. Vision allows you to do near assembly language style if statements if you want. So like let's try this one here at 1980 or 1880. If you wanted to, it says saying if A equals 62, you could say compare A comma 62, and then you could say if it's not branch, if it's not equal, go to that next line. Otherwise, you could say something like done and stop the program. So that comparison right there is checking to see if you hit the letter Q on the keyboard. So let's run that. Let's just move around a little, hit Q. Done. See there? We're not gaining a whole lot by doing the if statements that way. A little bit of speed. Oops. Similarly, on line 1860, we could do, instead of if A equals 12, we could say compare A to 12. Oops. Compare A to 12. And you just have to wrap them in these brackets. Branch if not equal, we want it to go to the next line. 1880. And it's pretty much that simple. Oh, right here, where it has the cy equals cy plus 1. Well, there's a little nifty Vision Basic command where you can just say increment cy. So you can go inc cy. And it's a little shorter and it saves cycles. So we could do that on all these. On there, and on the opposite side, there's decrement, DEC CY. So we could put all these, oops, put all these in place. Increment CX, decrement CX. And if we wanted to, we could finish the rest of these, but let's make sure that what I did already is not going to blow up on us. Just make sure we can go up, down, left, and right. Right, left, up. Up's not working, something's wrong, and down. Oh. Yeah, something's not quite right with that one. It's ending right there. One other thing we can do in Vision, if you want to check for less than 0, other than the way it's doing now, if you want to use the comparison command, compare CY, and you want it to be less than 0, well, I had an email from Dennis Osborn, and he was telling me 32768 or 32768 and above are negative numbers. So if we do a comparison here, 32768, and then if we branch, if it's less than that, go to the next line, That's an equivalent. That's equivalent to what I already had there. And we could do the same thing. I think that's why it's not wrapping, because it's not checking less than 0 properly. In basic, in Vision Basic, a negative number becomes 65535, and in regular Basic, it's just -1. So if we come in here and we go compare CX, comma, instead of 0, we go 32768. Branch if carry is clear, or if it's less than, we want to go to that 1970. Oops. And then what would it have here? CX equal WD. Is there any more? List 1940 on. So let's do 1970. Compare CX comma WD. Now we want greater than or equal. So we want to come here. Well, actually just want greater than, not equal. So you go, if it's less than, go to the next line. Or if it's equal, go to the next line. Oops. Otherwise, set it to 0. That's the equivalent. And we can do the same thing here. All right, I went ahead and switched over some of the if statements, the other ones, into the comparisons, just to save time on the video, and just did a few little, that was basically it, just changed lines, 1800, 1820, and this is how it works now. It goes up, down, left, and right. And now comparing that, let's compare that to our basic counterpart here. So on the left is Commodore Basic. That's me pressing up to go up. And then if I push left or right, left. It's painfully slow, you see that? Almost unusable. Whereas in Vision Basic, it's a huge improvement. Not quite as fast as assembly language. Assembly language is multitudes faster than this, but it's about, I want to say, 5 times faster than the other one, maybe 10. Anyway, it's just multitudes faster than regular Basic, and I'm enjoying learning the language as we go. All right, I just received this package a couple days ago from the creator of Vision Basic, Dennis Osborn, and he didn't have to send me this shirt, but he did say that my video on the walkthrough for Vision Basic generated some sales for him, and he was appreciative, and so he decided to send me this Vision Basic t-shirt. So thank you, Dennis, for this t-shirt. Let me try it on, see how it fits. The next thing I wanted to try converting was, let's close this, Pack Basic program. This one is very interesting. It's a short program, almost as short as the other one. Maybe even, possibly even shorter. But we have these print commands, and now Vision Basic doesn't support these special commands for like reverse off and reverse on. So the first thing that I had to do was remove those. Let's copy this one and do a new one. Pack VB. Now I've already went through the trouble of converting these, switching these to plus signs and minus signs, or in dots, for the Vision Basic version. But before I show that, let's go ahead and run the old basic version. And see what it's doing is it has like a random character and he's going around eating dots, and you can kind of see him moving around. And it's not too terribly slow. The only problem is once you start adding, if you got to get your ghosts in there and you start adding more features, it'll slow down even further. But the first thing I wanted to do was swap this out with the minus signs and everything. I haven't done any of the rest, but let's go ahead and bring this over to Vision. And you'll see the special characters. Oh, that's the other thing I have to do. Everything has to be made lowercase to make this work. It's a lot easier to edit this stuff in an editor, in a modern editor, and just paste it over into Vision. The first thing we'll have to do is go in. We got to get rid of some of this stuff. Randomize function. I don't need that. But we got to look for areas where things are in uppercase, like this stuff. Okay, I'm going to rewrite that line, but later I'm going to leave that for now. All right, we'll go line 1 and we'll do the CLR, clear the screen. I like to do it the other way. Clear the screen and then clear the variables. And then what we'll do is we'll set the randomize function. That's a Vision Basic function to initialize your random variables. We have our variables here. Everything looks kosher. The wall character, instead of it being 160, it's going to be the plus sign, which is 43. We already cleared the screen, so we can get rid of that one. Here we're just running the program. We're running through in a loop 550 times. Vision Basic has another way of doing this with the do command. We'll do that later. And then these pokes here are not going to work the way they're written because Vision can't handle the parentheses. So what we're going to want to do, we're going to want to set a variable. I was going to use V for variable. And then equal. And we'll put the multiplication first. And then we'll add the 1024 plus GX. And then we'll do the poke. And so that's how you do that. And essentially we just go down the line. I'll fast forward this. All right, for the random number function, it works a little differently in Vision Basic. Let's do a new program, I'll show you. So if you go 10 random to initialize it, 20. If we just set a variable like x equals, you can say random, and that's it. 30 print x, 40, go to 10, go to 20. And you'll see right there, it's just generating these large random numbers. Well, if you set x equal to be a decimal, which is Vision Basic's version of a floating point variable, now you have little decimal variables randomly being generated. And what you can do is you can say, I want a random number between 0 and 3, or 0 and 2. So you just multiply this by 3. That'll go 0 to 2. And if we want the whole number, you can convert this. You can say x equals the whole of x. And that's like saying the integer value, int, except in the book, Dennis explains int does some rounding and whole doesn't do that rounding. So now we have a number between 0 and 2 randomly generated. Okay, so that's how you do the random function. Now going back to here, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to do, we have to rewrite this 1120. So we're going to do random. We'll just kind of get rid of this. We're going to go random times the length of the string. Oops, I got this wrong. Random times the length of the string. So we want the random number to be based on the number of characters. We're going to add 1, so it's not 0 through the number, it's 1 through whatever. And then we're going to do the same thing we did in the little demo there, where GD equals the whole of GD. And then down here where we're doing this poke, we're just going to do the same thing when we did before. We're going to, oops. We're going to set a value equal GY times 40 plus 1024 plus GX. And then we're going to poke the value, comma 65, which pushes that little character, pokes it on the screen. And then we're going to set our previous direction variable right there. I think that's all we have to do for this pack program to run. So let's paste it in and try it. See if we missed anything. You can warp the paste function. I figured it out. All right, so we messed something up in 1130. Let's look at these. 11. Okay, yeah, Vision doesn't like that. We'll have to... Okay, we'll have to structure that a little differently because it doesn't like the mid string in the middle of a if. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this line. And put it here. So we'll grab that value, and then we'll just say if PD equals blah, blah, blah. Oops. Do that for all of it. And it's actually saves cycles because you're not grabbing that thing 4 times. And we could do the trick where we do INC DEC right here. Let's do that. And now let's try that. Warp that in, turn the warp off, and run the program. Oh, okay. Almost. We have some sort of an issue here. Let's try to figure that out. He's not moving around like he should. I think I know what the problem is. I forgot to put in up here because we did the random thing, but I forgot to put it in, make this a decimal. And I think that's the problem. Some of these types of problems can be very difficult to figure out, so I wish there was a better sort of like a debugging feature. All right. There it goes. And so it zips around and I have the program set. It's sort of just doing randomly, and going anywhere where there's not a plus sign, and it runs for 550 times. There's a couple things though I wanted to change. The first thing, I thought it would be cool if instead of the plus signs we actually use a wall character. So I was going to go like write a quick program to change the plus signs to a wall character. So we'll do a for statement for I equals. Now I was going to scan the screen. The screen starts at 1024. And I was going to go for 1,000, but I think to just do it all the way to 2,000 because that bottom line's not in use, we'll be fine. I'm going to get the peak value, peak, a variable equal to peak of I. And then I probably should be doing this in the other one. 5226. If the peak is equal to 43, which is that plus sign, then poke I, comma 160, which is the wall character. Next, and then when you're done, set the wall value equal to 160 so that the program knows not to go through the wall. And let's run that. And that looks a little better. White's not the greatest color there for this, but I think that works pretty good. And then the last thing I wanted to do, so I would have to retype this. I did find a little feature in Vice where if you can do edit, copy, and we can paste what it has there. Oops. Paste it right here. And I only need that little bottom portion. And that way I can paste my code right in. Finally, the last thing I wanted to do, instead of doing this for loop right here, what you can do is we could strip that out. And Vision has a nice little feature where you can say do line 55, and you can say 500 times. So let's copy that and paste it over to Vision. And run it. And so look at it, it's so much faster, if you recall, than the basic version. I'll run it side by side. You can see on the left is regular basic, and on the right is Vision. See how much faster that is. It's a glorious thing to look at. It's beautiful. All right, so let that finish running. That's probably going to take 10 minutes. The final segment of this video, what I wanted to show you guys was another program was the maze generator one that I've kind of brought up a couple of times on various videos. And I thought this one would be interesting to do. It's very involved though, and I adapted this from rosettacode.org. But let's run it. I've already converted this to assembly language, so you can see even in assembler it doesn't just display right away. This is a slow sort of program, and it would be interesting to see just how fast Vision Basic version of this is. Now for that, I was looking at this. One of the key points that Vision, or the features that Vision does not support, is multi-dimensional arrays. So when you have an array that's y comma x, something like this, you have to do the math. You have to say, Vision has a single dimensional arrays, but not multi-dimensional. So you'd have to say if y is 5, it would be y times 5, 5 times the width plus the x value in order to position you into that array. Now I'm not going to bore you with all those details. I will instead, we'll bring in, let's create a new let's call it Maze DB. And I went ahead and did that one off camera because it would have taken way too long. And this is not a 6-hour Twitch video. But what I did was I rewrote the program using Vision Basic, or I ported it. I didn't rewrite it. And we did those math commands in here. So where you see something like visits parentheses V4, it had to have already calculated what V4 was, and it's saying something like this, you know, V4 times the width plus X, you know, and it's making that. And let's go ahead and run that. I at the risk of getting any more confusing. And let's see how fast Vision's version of that is. And we'll paste that in. Warp the paste. And unwarp and run it. So you can see it's tremendously faster than the basic version, but not as fast as assembly language. And I've covered how fast those assembly ones run. The assembly one isn't instantaneous, as I said, but it's still considerably faster than that. So let's rerun this one. And then let's rerun this one. So I put it at around 5 times faster, just looking at that. And this isn't 100% fully optimized either. So if we look at it, there are probably some things that we could do to further optimize this, but I've already done due diligence as much as I could on this, and it's not pretty, but it is it's much quicker than its Visual Basic its basic counterpart. I will say, because you have to split out all of those commands, you have to do the math in front of the actual pokes and stuff, and you can't combine some of those things on one line. It does make the program less readable. Whereas you can kind of read this and understand it a little. You have if z equals 0 and this, then set this and this, da 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 da. Well, Vision Basic has that. You just have to do all these math things outside of the if statement. And so I'm doing that here. So I'm saying if z is 0 and visits is equal to 0, paren Vision v4 is 0, then notice in Vision you can do multiple lines. You can say then for that if statement. So you can do all 3 of these lines, and that is an improvement over regular normal basic. So it does have that, but it does suffer from readability. The other little grain that I'll give you is that when you are doing commands like these, Vision Basic only supports up to 2 lines of text. So if you were to do a new program here, and if we were to print something, and we used a lot of text, Vision Basic's good to right there. But if you were to add one more thing, one more character, if we were to add one more character, let's say we went past this, it's like, And I don't even want to tell you how long it took me to figure that out when I was copying and pasting some code that was just a little too long. And if you do it just right, it won't add the line that you pasted, and it skips it. And that can cause a headache if you're trying to run a program and it doesn't put your whole program in there. And believe me, I spent way too much time trying to figure that one out. But anyway, that is my video here. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you can glean something from it. You can tell from these 3 examples just how much faster it is to write programs in Vision Basic. And I've been enjoying the journey. I will go ahead and post these 3 programs, Maze VB, Zeph VB, and Pack VB, over on my GitHub channel at github.com/GrayDefender. All right, thanks for watching.